All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Caps on the Coast. This is episode 5 that we're recording today, and we have a lot of recent news to discuss. And
hmm
we have a game to discuss. Canada played Guatemala on January 17th, so we now know the result of that game. And Canadians have been playing lots of football abroad in Europe lately, but we've had this bit of a lull in the last few weeks, of course, because there hasn't been any MLS action to discuss. But I guess one of the good things about the Whitecaps last season is that their season went so late and they made it to the finals, of course. So it's not as long of a break as it would be usually. But the Whitecaps will be back in action on January 27th. They will take on Real Salt Lake in BC Place, a game which me and my grandpa will be in attendance, and we're really looking forward to. But yeah, how's this break been for you? Are you excited to dive back into some soccer?
Well, there's no question. I've been a bit antsy since Whitecaps finished their season. Like you say, it was a long, particularly long season. They did so well, but um, it's good to be thinking, getting back into action again with the Whitecaps, and we know they're playing their preseason games right now, and over in Marbella, Spain. And we'll talk about their first game in a little while here, preseason game. But yeah, we have such a fantastic year to look forward to with the national team playing in the World Cup. Seven games, international games, will be at BC Place. So we've got so much to look forward to if you're a football or soccer fan, which of course, we are passionate about.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for sure with the World Cup coming up, and there's no better year to be talking about this kind of stuff because there's just so much to dive into. Of course, the Champions League took place this past week. There was a bunch of games over there. We have Ali Ahmed, who's been playing in the championship with Norwich, and he's been playing really well, had a great start to the season. Jonathan David's picking up some form with Juventus, and Promise David's been scoring goals for fun in the Belgian Pro League. So we have a ton of players to discuss. There's been injuries all over the place. Bit of worry for Marsh as our back line has suffered many injuries. And so, yeah, we'll give you guys the full breakdown of that. And yeah, let's get into it. First off, I just want to discuss the Canada Guatemala friendly that just happened. This was on January 17th, and Canada won. The score was 1-0 over Guatemala. And a bit of controversy leading up to the match was it was classified as a B international friendly, which was a bit of a disappointment to some fans because this now means that the players' caps, their debuts for the national team won't count. They won't count towards that statistic, and then also any goals or assists that were made in that game won't be counted either. But of course, there are a few benefits to it being a B international friendly. The benefits being that Marsh has the ability to make up to 10 substitutions, and he used quite a few in this game. A lot of players saw the field, so that was great. And also, it gives the opportunity for players to join the match who haven't yet committed to Canada. So they haven't signed their one-time switch to change to the country. So yeah, a few players got to make their debuts, and yeah, how did you see that game going down?
Well,
Yeah, it was interesting.
yeah, it was. It was obvious that these players have not had a lot of opportunity to play together. It's quite a the play was quite loose at times and fragmented. The finishing wasn't is far from ideal. We definitely had the possession in the game and we had more shots on goal. There's no question that we did outplay Guatemala, which was expected. Guatemala is way down in the rankings, 90 something, I think. But we had a few players there with quite a bit of experience. Rosario and, um, and some of our defenders were quite experienced. But it was an ideal opportunity to bring these young players in and give them a good chance to for Marsh to see how they would do, and some of them, no doubt, will be invited to the final squad, the World Cup squad. So was the player I thought showed he was the player of the match from my point of view. He almost scored a goal himself and was there at all times on defense, backtracking and so on. It was, yeah, it was an excellent chance for to have a look at the younger players that are coming up.
Yeah, in our last podcast, episode 4, we went over the call ups and the roster for this camp. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, you can go have a look on our YouTube channel. But there was a lot of exciting young players that got a chance to play. And there was also quite a few players that have played before but haven't been getting as much minutes lately. And these are certain leaders in the team that got a chance to step up in the game. And yeah, Priso had an amazing game. He was actually thrown into the mix last minute because Joel Waterman suffered an injury. So Priso was just kind of thrusted into that center back spot. But that was nothing new to him. And he's done that all season with the Whitecaps. He's had to perform under pressure in big games in a new position that is unfamiliar to him. So he was impressive, yeah, on the ball, off the ball. He read the game well. He made up for a few mistakes from other defenders. And yeah, he had a great game. I thought Kamal Miller didn't have his best showing. He's one of the veterans in the squad, and he's kind of on the fringe of the defenders looking in at the World Cup squad. I'd say it's pretty likely he's not going to get the call up just because of all the new emerging players like Luke de Fougerolles and Alfie Jones, who has recently been cap tied to Canada. He plays for Middlesbrough in the championship. But yeah, there's been a lot of new emerging defenders lately, and I don't see Kamal Miller making the cut, and I don't think this match did him any favors in terms of stock up. But I think Jaden Nelson is another player that we should talk about. He recently got the transfer to Austin from the Whitecaps. And similar to Kamal Miller, he didn't have the best game. I thought there were moments where he showed some promise and he brought the ball up the wing. But as he usually does, he lost it a few times. And there wasn't much end product for the promise that he shows. So there is a lot of raw talent with Jaden Nelson. I just don't think it's as developed as it needs to be to play at that national team level.
That's right.
And especially with the wingers, there's so many options now. Canada have never had as much depth as they do now. So again, it's probably unlikely that he'll see the World Cup, but who knows? He could have a good start at Austin. A lot of it's going to come down to club form for a lot of these players. And Jason Russell-Rowe was the striker alongside Ryan Alumi. And Russell-Rowe got the goal in the 66th minute. It was a cross from Malik Henry, who made a great run down the wing and just kind of threw it into the box, and Jason Russell-Rowe got his head on it. And it makes you wonder, did that goal have anything to do with the new rumors lately? Because coming in as of yesterday, Jason Russell-Rowe has been rumored with a transfer to Ligue 1, to the French league, and apparently there's a few clubs there that are interested in him. So that might be an example of a player whose stock went up at this camp. But yeah, this camp was interesting. A lot of players got to see the field, got to get a taste of what it's like to play with Canada. And I think they're all going to be fighting for spots. Some of them will be fighting for spots at the World Cup. Some of them will be fighting for spots in the future. But it was a good chance for the young players to get a chance to show Marsh why they deserve to be there. And yeah, it was a good chance to go up against Guatemala, who we've had some good results against in the past, but also some not so good recent results. I remember when Canada lost in the Gold Cup on penalties recently. So that was a big disappointment. But yeah, what do you think this match did for Marsh? Do you think it helped him solidify any players, or was it more just a trial?
Yeah, it did. I think he's going to be spending some time, his time with the other coaches. He's not making all the decisions by himself, of course. He's got a number of coaches he works with as a team, and these people will all be reviewed. All these players will be intensely reviewed over the next few weeks as to the potential they have to join the team for the next game coming up. I think it's in Edmonton against Uzbekistan or
Uzbekistan. That's their friendly leading up to the World Cup in Edmonton.
Yeah. And then there's two other games we know of against Tunisia and
Iceland.
Iceland. But you would hope that When we get to those last two games, the team basically, the starting 11 will be pretty well set, you would hope.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be, playing around with different players and trying to sort things out a couple of weeks before the World Cup. So, but this is a good start. I like what he did, and let's hope it helps him formulate, the best squad for Canada.
Yeah. Another successful Camp Poutine, as they call it.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing about Camp Poutine is you get players that wouldn't normally be on the team because they're in their off season with the MLS and the CPL. So we saw a lot of the Canadian Premier League call ups and MLS because the European players are playing with their clubs at the moment. So if you're wondering, that's why the roster wasn't as strong as it normally would be. But yeah, let's look ahead to those friendlies you just mentioned. So Canada has two more windows leading up to the World Cup. They have a March window, which will be 2 matches. And then they have a June window, which will be 2 more matches. And these are, of course, World Cup preparation games. They are friendlies. But the goal is to get an identity for Canada of what they will look like at the World Cup, solidify the players that will be starting, and make sure everyone's familiar with their role, and more to get an idea of who the potential opponents could be at the World Cup. Of course, we already do know the groups, which we also discussed in our last podcast, but Canada has been placed in a group with Qatar, Switzerland, and then a European playoff winner, likely to be Italy, but to be decided, with a little comma next to that. So yeah, Iceland is the first friendly that it's been announced. That will take place on there's not a specific date, but the window is between March 24th and the 31st. And Iceland is ranked somewhere in the 50th percentile of countries in the world.
Yeah.
They do offer a
They're
bit of
ranked,
a test, but yeah, what did you think about Iceland as an opponent?
well, they're ranked 74th at this
Okay, yeah.
point, and Tunisia is ranked, I think, first. So Iceland did not qualify for the World Cup. They the best the best period for them was back in 2018. They qualified for the World Cup and they did very well in the World Cup. They were a surprise team to come, one of 32, not one of 48 as it is today. And Tunisia, they did well in their qualification in Africa. So, I would think Tunisia will be a stronger opponent than Iceland based on the last couple of years, what we've seen. But I'm concerned that we don't have really strong opposition. We're ranked number 29 in the world of this today, and you would hope we would be playing a team, at least one game where we're playing a team that's, higher up in the ranking to give us more competition because we're going to get that stiff competition in the World Cup.
Yeah, I think the sentiment is shared amongst fans. There is a disappointment to the friendlies that have been announced because I think part of having a World Cup, a home World Cup especially, is the importance of capitalizing on the success that your country could have and also building hype around the team. And I think one of the main ways to do that is to schedule exciting matchups leading up to the tournament and to give the players and the coach preparation that is sufficient for a World Cup like this. So it's definitely disappointing. You look at Iceland; they're a European team. They're very structurally sound. They don't have any players of note, but they'll offer a bit of a test. I mean, Canada should beat them pretty comfortably. If they don't, there'll be serious questions asked. And as far as Tunisia, they are an African nation. So the whole point of friendlies leading up to the World Cup is to experience matches from different continents. So here you have African and European, and then you have Uzbekistan, who's in the Asian Confederation. So there'll be a mix of different opponents and different playing styles that the team can adjust to and see how they match up against. But yeah, I just wanted to say the U.S. has some exciting friendlies scheduled, and that's something to note because it shows you the potential of what Canada could have done with the perk of hosting a World Cup. So the US has acquired Germany, Portugal, and Belgium as their friendlies leading up to the World Cup. So that shows you the caliber of teams that they're playing. Those are all top 10 ranked nations in the world. Are you also disappointed by these matchups?
Definitely. I really am. As a Canada fan, I'm very disappointed that we don't have stiffer opposition. You know, as the US, they've got good stiff opposition. They're going to be tested in their games. I'm not so sure we'll be tested in our games. Like you say, if we don't have some excellent results and good wins against our opposition between now and the World Cup against these teams, there'll be lots of concern entering the World Cup.
Yeah. I think part of the reason it was so hard for the Canadian Federation to schedule big game friendlies was largely due to the schedule conflicts. First of all, Canada doesn't have many stadiums to choose from in terms of playing. Like BC Place, there's a lot of restraints to when they can play these matches, so that's why these matches are being played in Toronto and Edmonton. Cost is always an issue. The Canadian Federation does not have nearly as much money as the US Federation, and that kind of limits how much they can pay for these countries to come play. But you think on a home World Cup year, they would be able to capitalize on the fact that a lot of these countries want to experience playing in the type of environments they will be playing in at the World Cup, right? So
Mhm.
you would think that that would be a pull. So it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
did they miss a huge opportunity to capitalize on it? But nonetheless, it'll serve as good preparation, and I hope that Marsh and the group make the most of these matches, and I'm sure they will. They've taken every friendly as a competitive game, and they haven't shied away from any competition. So I expect the same.
Uh-huh.
Now I want to shift our focus to Canadians abroad. This is an exciting time for Canadian players and Canadian fans because now more than ever we have Canadians playing at the top level, whether it be in Europe or just different leagues around Europe. You have Ligue 1, you have Bundesliga, the Championship, Serie A, all these different top 5 leagues in the world, and you have players playing at them. So no better time to dive into it. I want to start off with Jonathan David. Of course, he got the move to Juventus in the summer from Lille. He had a great stint at Lille. They won Ligue 1, and he was a goal scoring machine for them, especially in the Champions League. He looked great last season. But it's no secret he's had a slow start at Juventus, and Juventus haven't looked great as a team themselves, so it's not just to blame Jonathan David. And they've had a manager change, which affects it with Spalletti now at the helm. But have you seen a change in form recently from Jonathan David?
Definitely, Ty. In his last 5 matches, he scored 3 goals and got 2 assists. So he's turned his play up a notch. He's been a starting player for the team, and he's responding probably to a large extent for the change of management, a change of environment that he's feeling there, and having that opportunity to start. So it was a tough start. It was a tough beginning for him there. There was even local criticism about his ability to play in that level of a league, that particular league. But he's answered the critics pretty well here in the last few games. We need his form. We need his energy. We need his goal scoring if Canada's going to do well in the World Cup.
Yeah, he's absolutely crucial to everything Marsh does, and he's kind of the picture perfect player under Marsh's system because of how well he presses and how well he moves on and off the ball. He's not your typical striker. He likes to drop deep and receive the ball, and he's good at hold up play, and he's very good at one touch finishing. So
Mm-hmm.
he's crucial for our team. He's one of the top goal. I think he's the second highest goal scorer with Canada, and he's really turned his form around. We can only hope that it's going to continue. But the other day he had a goal against Napoli, which I thought was very impressive, where he just took the ball away from the defender and slotted it in the bottom corner. And these are the types of goals he scores. He's a poacher, but he's very smart and he plays well with these new teammates. So yeah, we hope his form continues and it's crucial that he is in good form leading up to the World Cup, because I think our success is largely going to be determined by the goals that we score at this tournament. And this is due to the fact that Canada has an identity as a very defensive team at this point, and they're very structured.
I was going to say how true. Our first World Cup, we had played 3 games in our group. We scored no goals. I think that was in 1986. And our last World Cup, we played 3 games and we scored 1 goal. It was Alfonso Davies scored that goal, and scoring that goal was like finally we break the ice, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it was like winning the tournament.
And we played pretty well in the tournament, but I think we lost to Belgium 1-0 in the first game. We should have won that game, but the fact is we played fairly well defensively in the World Cups, the 2 we've been to, but we've had a big issue scoring goals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the monkey off our back that we got to get rid of, and I think once we can get some goals in, I mean, Marsh has showed with this team that we're not going to concede many. We haven't conceded many in the last games. I think we've only conceded more than 2 goals 3 times under Marsh, which is quite spectacular for a statistic. So, yeah, we got to hope that the goals are flowing this summer. Speaking of goals, Promise David, another player to keep your eye on. He's currently playing with Union Saint-Gilloise, and after having a terrific season last year, he scored 15 goals. Or no, that was this season. He scored 15 goals in all competitions. Last season, he scored more than 20, and he was the top scorer in the league. And that catapulted his team into the Champions League. And this season in the Champions League, he has a pair of goals as well. So he's looked great recently. He's been in top form. And I think this is only going to make the decision harder for Marsh when he's deciding who that other striker is to go alongside Jonathan David, because it's really a race at this point between Tani Oluwaseyi, who's playing at Villarreal, and Promise David. So it's going to be a hard decision, and Promise David's not making it any easier, is he?
No, he scored a beautiful goal the other day in the Belgium Cup. He had his back towards the goal. He swiveled around and hit a beautiful ball to the corner. So he's an opportunist, and when he gets a chance, he usually scores. The only criticism I've heard about his play is that he he sometimes gets rid of the ball too fast. He has to learn to hold the ball at times. But they did score. He got an assist too. I can't recall who he was playing. His team was playing, but it was a give and go, and he gave the ball back to the player who eventually scored the goal. He was playmaking there. So yeah, he's playing well.
Yeah, he has some good attributes I think that Marsh looks for. He's very tall. He's 6'5", right? So we don't have a profile like that on the Canadian team that is so dominant in the box. I think that's what really sets him apart from other players, is his absolute sheer size and dominance on the ball. It's very difficult for defenders to body him. So, yeah, he's proven that he can score too with the national team. He hasn't got many minutes under Marsh, but it seems like whenever he comes in, he finds the back of the net. I think he's scored 2 or 3 goals in a very limited amount of minutes. So it's food for thought for Marsh. Do you value goals more, or do you value pressing more? Because I think if he values pressing and structure, Tani Oluwaseyi is that player, because he's very quick and he's just a workhorse, and he will press the heck out of that back line. But if you value goals and you see that Canada is struggling to score goals, Promise David's going to be that player to bring in. So it's going to make it an interesting competition, and I think we'll see Marsh's true intentions with the team come out when he selects which player it'll be.
It's always good. I was going to say it's always good to have competition for a position. When 2 or 3 or 4 players, doing their best to play a certain position. I know the Whitecaps, going back to the Whitecaps, they've benefited from that over the last few years, to have players compete for a certain position on the field.
Yeah, especially at the national team, it's important because historically Canada haven't had many players to choose from in terms of selections for starting 11s and tournaments and stuff. So this is the most depth we've ever seen at the national team, no doubt about that. We've never looked deeper as a squad, and there's a backup player at every position now that's ready to step in and do a good job if need be.
Exactly.
Let's move on to a player who's close to our heart now, and we are sad to see leave the Whitecaps. But he's just had an absolute phenomenal start at Norwich. Ali Ahmed, that's who we got to talk about. Yesterday we were recording a podcast, and during our recording, Ahmed scored a goal and had an assist. And this is in the championship where they beat Coventry, who is the #1 team at the moment in the championship. And of course, Norwich City are in a relegation battle at the moment. But with 3 wins in a row now, they've managed to create some good distance between them and the bottom 3 teams. So how impressed have you been so far with Ahmed's start?
Well, I'm sure all the Whitecaps fans are just shouting for joy. They're just so happy for him
Or
because there was
crying.
some.
They might be crying.
I'm crying that he's left us, but he's looking ahead to playing for Canada in a little while again. It's all good preparation for him and his Canada play. So they played 3 games. They've won all 3 games, I believe. Since he's been with the team, he's scored 3 goals. Is it now or
2 goals and 2 assists.
2 goals, 2 assists. So
in 3 games. Yeah.
So he's already a big fan of the local of Norwich, and the team and the fans were already identified with him and his plays. So what a beautiful start for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone expected him to adjust this quickly. It feels like it's been seamless the way he's fit into the team, and what a bargain Norwich got for him. Only paying, I think it was 2.2 million for the transfer. So with the amount of goals and assists he's been producing this early on, they got an absolute bargain for the player, and I'm sure they're stoked. And yeah, Ahmed's just loving it over there. He's having a great time, and he's playing like it. This is just adding even more competition to the national team for the World Cup. And yeah, like we said, that can only be a good thing. It's going to create a winning environment. And I think Ahmed, after this recent performance, it has to lock him down in the starting lineup for Canada. I mean, I don't see any other winger playing at his level right now for Canada. And the way he presses on and off the ball, the way he carries the ball, his progression up the field with his passing, and he's now developing his shooting more, which is something he's been criticized on in the past, is not taking enough shots, but it seems like that's not an issue for him anymore. So yeah, he's only going to get better from here, and it's really exciting to have a Vancouver player playing at this level in England, and hopefully you can see the Premier League eventually. How awesome would that be? Another player who we're super excited about is Alphonso Davies. He finally is returning from injury. He just played his first full 90-minute game in a 2-1 loss in the Bundesliga. But yeah, I like how Bayern Munich have been managing the player. They haven't integrated him too fast because they have so much depth at every position. So they've kind of eased him back in slowly, and it looks like he's recovering very well from his injury. So, yeah, how are you feeling about him returning to play?
Well,
it's exciting.
Well, it's wonderful. He missed 10 months. He missed 10 months of play from an ACL injury, I believe. And he got back in the game. No points, no goals, no assists, no shots. But he did get to play his first game back. Let's hope he can, get back into form, get fit. And when was the last time he was playing for Canada, right? Do you remember the last game he played for Canada? I don't.
No, it's been a while. I think he got injured. I think he got injured last April. So,
Well, yeah,
he's been out for a long time.
Yeah, so we're not used to seeing him on the team. So he will be certainly welcome back. And he's our he can score goals, and he can bring up the energy level of the team. He can turn things around on a dime. So yeah, let's hope he can stay healthy. Let's hope he can really get back into his ideal playing form.
Yeah, he's such an important player at the national team level because he's a leader, but he's also just so versatile in how he can play. And yeah, like you said, he brings an energy to the team, and I think the players will feel his presence once he's back,
That's right.
and it'll motivate them to play better too. So yeah, it's amazing to see him back, and hopefully there's no
Hmm.
complications with his injury going into it.
That's right.
But of course, there are some other injuries we should discuss as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, the back line has been hit hard recently. You have Derek Cornelius, who's got injured with Rangers. Luke DeFougerol suffered a minor injury. Ishmael Kone suffered an injury at Sassuolo, and Bombito also has been injured. Not to mention Alistair Johnston is still recovering. Another injury to add into the mix is also Alfie Jones, one of our newer players, is injured as well. So out of all those injuries, which in particular stand out to you, would you say?
Well, the one that I'm concerned about is Eustachio. He's such a great player. He is back playing. He's only
Hmm.
played four matches, lower body injury. That's all we heard.
Okay.
There was no stats in his last game, but I mean, he was the captain, right? He's our captain with his experience. He's played 150 games and playing for Porto. But um, but the last game he played, I believe, was in September the 6th of last year. We stand corrected on that. But so when are we going to see him back playing again? That's a big concern I have. He's a key player for us and in midfield. I mean, there's other injuries we could talk about, but who do you feel is
Yeah, I'm particularly concerned about a few players. Number one is Alistair Johnston because he's
yeah,
been out for a long time now, and it
yeah,
seems like there's a lot of complications with his injury. I believe
mm,
it's also an ACL, so he's important for our team. Of course, there have been players that have stepped up in his absence. You look at a Richie Larea and a Nico Seeger, who have both played fullback, and they've been impressive. So if he is injured come the March window or the World Cup, it's not going to be a huge loss because we do have some big players that have stepped up. But yeah, hopefully he gets back soon. I think if he's fully fit going into the World Cup, he's a shoe in. Also, Bombito, we hope he recovers well because Canada can't play the way they play without him. He is so important to their team. He's our number one center back, no doubt about it. And the pace he plays allows Canada to play that high line and to press high and to have that structural integrity. So, yeah, I hope Bombito comes back soon. And Derek
yeah. But
Cornelius, I think his injury is pretty short term. So, yeah.
Bombito had his injury in fibia, broke his fibia in early January, and he had surgery. He's apparently walking with crutches right now, and so he's going to have to make a pretty quick recovery to be in playing shape and playing form for Canada over the next 2 months, I believe. I'm concerned with that injury too. Very concerned.
Yeah. The back
I
line has taken a big hit.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, just anyone else? Cornelius, yeah, you mentioned Cornelius. He's a center back. He had a muscle injury, had surgery in November. He's training hard to get back. He's only played 3 matches over the season, so let's hope he can work his way back and be in playing form because he's a very good player when he's playing well too.
Yeah, he is.
We
Yeah. I think
will
he's
miss him.
another starter center back for us if he's in full fitness.
Yeah,
So essentially, the only like the first choice back line, the only player we have right now playing is Davies, and he's just returning from injury. So
yeah,
we need
yeah.
to hope
So
that
we're
those players recover in time, and that it's enough time for Marsh to use them and try out some tactical adjustments with those players so that they're
mhm.
used to because it's going to be hard to just throw them in at the World Cup if they're like if they had
Ex-
just recovered. He wants some
Exactly.
time to work with the players too. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully they
There has to
recover
be
soon.
there has to be a strategy of how to play ahead of time before the World Cup starts. The players have to be familiar with each other and play according to a plan. And we can't have any of these players, no matter how good they are individually, just thrown in onto the field at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The last two Canadians I want to touch on, you already touched on Stephen Eustachio.
Yeah.
These are two Canadians that I think need moves this offseason because they haven't been getting any playing time. The
Mm-hmm.
other is Kyle Laren, who's playing at Feyenoord. And
Right.
it's interesting because Kyle Laren, maybe 3-4 years ago, he would have been a no-brainer start at the World Cup. I mean, he did
Mm-hmm.
start in Qatar, but since then he's kind of just hit a wall and fallen off. I mean, it's interesting. He's had a huge dip in form from his past outings with Canada. Of course, he is Canada's all-time top scorer, but he's really been struggling for goals. And I think he could use a move, maybe to the MLS. He's on loan at Feyenoord from Mallorca, who are a La Liga side. But yeah, he needs a move, and he should probably consider a downgrade in league so that he can find his form again because it's clearly not working at these top leagues in Europe.
No. Yeah, he's played 6 matches only. He's scored 1 goal, no assists. So he's not getting the playing time, as you say. You
Yeah,
know.
and same thing with Eustachio. He's only played a handful of games this season, coming off the bench at Porto,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Four matches.
it seems
Yeah.
like the manager doesn't see a fit for him
No.
in this team. So
Yeah.
yeah, he needs a move. He's one of our most important players, like you said. He's one of our captains. Of course, Davies is the other captain as well. But in the midfield, he's crucial. He's our most important midfielder, and if
That's
he's
right.
not in top form coming into the World Cup, that's going to be a worry.
Hmm.
Yeah. So lots of players to monitor there. Last player we didn't mention is Jacob Schaffelberg. Do you
Yeah.
want to give the listeners a rundown of the update on Schaffelberg?
Scheffelberg was recently transferred to LAFC, but he's going to be a couple of months apparently before he can play again. He has what they call degenerative groin condition, and it says 1 to 2 months before he'll even play in the MLS. You know, you have to kind of wonder if he will get back playing for us again, playing for Canada again for the national team. And you know, he's a young player. He'll do his best to recover as fast as he can. But he's an excellent winger. He's got so much speed, but and he scored a few goals for Canada. A couple of, I'm thinking 2 or 3 goals. But so he has a good shot too. But the question is, will he be back in form for the country? Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him because he just got a big move from Nashville to LAFC, and LAFC
Mhm.
are a big club in the MLS. And with the addition of Heung-Min Song and Denny Bouanga, who's been with them for a while, he would have gained some very valuable experience before the World Cup. But I think this is going to throw a huge wrench in his plans and his preparation for the tournament. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. But let's just shift our focus here from the national team and let's discuss some Whitecaps. We've had some recent news, some very disappointing news as of today, actually. Ryan Gauld is injured and he underwent surgery. Of course, this is a big deal because he was injured last season and he missed pretty much the entire season. I think he got injured in March and didn't play again until the playoffs. So it's concerning to say the least. And it looks like he will be out till at least April. And what exactly was the surgery he had?
Well, I believe it was arthroscopic, and it was on his left knee. That's all I can recall. I can't recall the other term, but so it wasn't, the fact they had to open up his knee. It wasn't that kind of surgery. So, he he played. I was in. He was in 15 games last year. He started five, I think, or he played started five. He scored 3 goals, 3 assists. But we were all hoping he would come back strong and be on the field, you know, this during the first game. But it's just a real setback, I think, for the Whitecaps that we're dealing with his the fact he can't play to start the season.
Well, yeah, I think what makes this so much more worrying is the fact that the Whitecaps just traded Nelson and Ahmed, who were our other two left wingers. So with them both gone and Gald now injured until April, that leaves who? Cabrera. Cabrera can play left wing, but is he really a starter? Do we want to start him every single game? Well, we might not have a choice now. So yeah, Whitecaps were already very thin at that position because we moved on Ahmed and Nelson, which was a questionable decision, but I guess the two players wanted the move anyway. But yeah, now that leaves us in a predicament, leaves the club in a predicament, and we might see a new signing in the next few days, I think, on the wing. There's been a few rumors in South America, a player from Peru, I believe, and another player from Brazil. So, yeah, we could see a move in the next few days, and I think it's highly likely given this extra complication from Gald.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, lastly, let's touch on the camp. The Whitecaps played their first game today. I might butcher this name, but they played against FC Polizia Zitomir. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. Let me know in the comments if you know. Yeah, they played their first game today and they lost 2-0. But it's an experimental game. It's a preseason friendly. And I know Sorensen went with two almost completely different starting 11s for each half. So take of that what you will. Yeah, how did you think that?
Well, it's nice to get off on a good foot. They play the first game, they lose, but like you say, we're still experimenting. The coaches are trying different players and different positions to some extent, and so I think we've got 4 more games left over there. Apparently, I saw just a little clip of the game, and they were playing in such a downpour. The water was, they were playing and sloshing. They were running, and it looked like a flood on the field. So it's not what they would have hoped to be playing in our first game. But it's they're on, it's a start. We'll hope for a win or two in their preseason later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They announced 5 games, so that's a lot of playing time. I think in the past they only had 3 games, so that'll give the coach a ton of time to experiment with the players and see which system and positions work best for what he has to work with. And unfortunately, these games aren't being streamed by the Whitecaps. I know today the game was streamed on the opposing team's YouTube channel, but I don't know if that'll be the case going forwards. It is hard to watch any of these games, but you'll get glimpses of them on social media. The Whitecaps announced that they'll be posting updates and videos every day of the matches. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some promising plays and some goals going forward. But yeah, that'll do it for today. This was episode 5 of Caps on the Coast, and we're really looking forward to this season. We appreciate all the support, and we appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. And we're really looking forward to the season going on. Of course, we have the World Cup coming up this summer, and Whitecaps are set to kick off with the CONCACAF Champions Cup in a couple weeks here. So, yeah, you must be excited, Grandpa. It's a big year.
Yeah, no question about it. We've got lots to look forward to, Ty. We're in a pretty good mood right now, thinking ahead for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, well, thank you guys for tuning in again. And yeah, we'll keep you updated on all the games and all the Canada matches and all the Whitecaps matches going forward. Any transfers, anything of the sort, injuries, we'll keep you updated. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you. Thank you.